What's up, everybody, and welcome to One Man's Opinion. And today we're talking about A Quiet Place 2. Now, I'm a little late to get into this one. I've been meaning to do it for a while, and I just hadn't had the chance. Seems like I'm busy all the time lately, but that's okay. I'm happy to talk about it now, and the good news is I don't have to tiptoe around spoilers. If you've not seen A Quiet Place 2, now is the time to go watch it before you watch this review. But after you watch it, don't forget, come back here, check out the review, see if our thoughts line up. Shh, it's a quiet place. See if our thought process on the whole thing kind of lines up. See if we've got the same opinions or not. And if you disagree, you always got the comment section. I always try to reply to anybody who leaves comments on my videos. A Quiet Place 2. Well, as usual, let's start off with some negatives. I think my biggest issue with A Quiet Place 2 is Marcus. That would be John Krasinski, Lee's son, Emily Blunt's son. You know, the kid, Marcus. The kid is just such a bonehead in this movie that it really irritated me at times. Like, some of the things he did were understandable. Other things were just really dumb, and it seemed like they needed to come up with someone to cause problems. That way there would be more of an issue, because you've got a family who's been living in this, I don't want to call it post-apocalyptic, but it's pretty apocalyptic. I mean, you've got a family who's been living in this environment for a little while now. And so for issues to be caused, either A, you've got to bring in like an outside faction, kind of like they did with the people at the boats who are causing problems for the family, or B, you have to have one of the family members cause problems. And that just falls to the son on this one. It falls to Marcus. And it sucks, because I don't think he always needed it. Like when they were sneaking into Emmett's place, Cillian Murphy, who I love, by the way, I'll talk about him some more later. When they're sneaking into his place, there is a booby trap there that drops some cans and creates noise. So you don't like really need to cause more reason for the creatures to come out. That should have been the triggering incident right there. That should have caused the creatures to come out. But you really don't get the creatures coming until after Marcus steps on the bear trap. Here's my issue with Marcus in this scene. And somebody's going to be like, dude, he was in a lot of pain. What are you talking about? Of course he was screaming. I understand. It was probably excruciating. But if you've ever had like a serious injury of any kind, in most circumstances, especially in that sort of circumstance, you wouldn't scream. It would hurt. I just wish they would have made him like fight back, sound a little bit more, like, you know, oh, God, yeah, you know, just kind of, you know, even like gritted teeth, you know, even if sound escaped, then it would be like, oh, he's trying, you know, he's trying not to make any noise, but he's in a lot of pain. But this kid is just openly like, just yelling mouth wide, you know, putting him and his whole family in danger, just completely at risk. And it doesn't make any sense. I'm just saying, in those instances, you know making noise would kill you and your family. I don't believe for a second that the kid, even if a yell escaped, if they had made a yell escape his lips for just the briefest of seconds, and then him kind of just, you know, grit his teeth and try to hold it back. But no, he was constant, just constant, like he didn't care anymore that it would kill him and his family. And to me, that's not believable. In that scenario, I think anybody would have the wherewithal, despite the pain, to fight it back. And there's more stuff like that he does in this movie. When everyone is separated and they're off doing their own thing, he leaves the baby and decides to go explore. Like, what a weird time, especially for the one character in this movie who is shown to be the most skittish. He's scared that he's going to end up like his dad. He's scared his sister's going to end up like his dad. Like, he asks his sister not to go because it's like, look what happened to dad. He says that. But then when everyone's gone and it's just him and the baby, he decides to go explore, and all that does is drum up more controversy. He ends up making a lot of noise. He gets chased back in the hole. It almost gets him and the baby killed, and then also almost gets his mother killed in the process. And so it's just like, man, this kid just it's constantly this kid making these mistakes, making these weird decisions that I didn't understand. And it's a shame, because I don't think you didn't need any of that to drum up more tension in this movie. There are little things that you can do in this world that don't make a character look so dumb that could cause these issues to happen anyway. Like, it doesn't take a lot for these creatures to come out of nowhere and attack. And so you could do something so much easier and make those creatures attack and not make him look like such a moron. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just bothered me the whole movie. I was like, this kid again, he's the reason that they're getting attacked again? I don't know. It just really bummed me out. It seemed like it was a reoccurring thing, like where Marcus would just screw something up, and that bothered me. And I know probably a lot of people think I'm being a little harsh on it, but that's one of my major gripes with this movie. On the flip side of that, I thought Reagan, who's played by Millicent Simmons, and I'm probably not getting her name completely right. Millicent, I think that's how you pronounce it. I could be wrong, but Reagan is awesome in this movie. The character who probably was my least favorite in the first movie is amazing, and I just hats off to the actress who is actually deaf in real life, and she does a fantastic job in this movie. Everything she does is believable. Her character motivations make sense. She is actively searching for something better for her family, and I love every step that this girl takes in this movie. Her journey from start to finish in this film is incredible. And that's another thing I want to applaud in this movie is the entire cast. Even John, who's not in it much, when he's in it, is fantastic. Cillian Murphy, man, I love this guy. I do. I love this guy. I love to see him in movies. He's a joy to watch. He's a fantastic actor. And just everything he's in, man, everything I've ever seen him in, I've just been like, man, that guy. I like that guy. He does a good job. Cillian Murphy's journey with Reagan, Emmett's journey with Reagan, is one of the highlights of this movie. It's really, really good. Emily Blunt in this movie kind of takes a backseat a little bit. It's not really about her as much. It's more about Reagan and Emmett. Both of them have, I guess you would say, both of them have the best character arcs. Reagan is in search of something to provide safety. She's trying to do what she thinks her dad would do in that situation. Emmett, on the opposite side, has lost completely everything and doesn't want to do anything. He wants to sideline. He's given up on the world. He's given up on people. He's given up on life almost completely. He's just living. That's his existence, is just existing. That's all he's doing when the characters find him in this movie. She forces him back into the world and back into life and back into effort and gives him a reason to push forward. I really thoroughly enjoyed their entire thing in this movie. It was really, really good. Having said all that, there's not just a whole lot more to talk about in this movie. I love the creatures. The creatures in A Quiet Place are what Tomorrow War's alien monsters should have been. Like that kind of menacing, scary, there's so little you can do to bring them down. That's what the Tomorrow War was missing. When the Tomorrow War became about like a mob, that was the mistake that Tomorrow War made. The monsters got less and less menacing as the movie went on. A Quiet Place has really nailed down building the tension with these monsters, where any sound you're just like, oh man, they're in for it now. And so I really applaud that. I applaud the characters. The movie's not very long, and at first I was like, wow, that was pretty fast. It's already over. But I actually like that too. You know, they're not trying to add too much to these movies. They've got a story they want to tell. They get in and out. They tell the story. They focus on characters. They focus on tension, and it all goes over really well. One thing I will say that felt a little off about this movie is there seems to be a lot more of the aliens now than there were in the first one. And I don't really know exactly how to explain that. I guess there are a lot of different ways you could explain it. But in the first one, I can remember, and I haven't watched it in a while, I can remember Lee riding and circling and saying, okay, we've seen one here. We know that we have one here. There are at least like 3 in the area or 4 in the area or something like that. But it gave the impression that there weren't just a whole lot of these things, just that they were very fast. They could hear very well. They traveled quickly and got kills very fast. They were very efficient. And that's what made them super, super scary. In this movie, they kill, 3 or 4 of them, and there's still more out there, not to mention the one that got killed in the last movie. It seems like there's a lot more of them roaming around than I would have thought. There's also a few plot convenient moments, a lot of that brought on by Marcus. Some of it is just like when they first get to Emmett's and they do set off the tripwire, the little cans, like no one dies. Like up until that point, if you made sound, like in the first movie, if you made sound, you died immediately. It was like there was one behind every tree. Like the old man who yelled, dead. The kid, when he set off the fire truck at the beginning, the noise started, and like before John Krasinski could run like 4 or 5 steps, dead. Like it felt like behind every tree stump there was an alien monster waiting to kill you as soon as you made noise. In this movie, it's like I can make noise and then I might have a minute or two. I better find safety. It wasn't even like, because they would just come off screen in the first movie, like, and just clothesline from heck. Out of nowhere and take people out. It was crazy how fast they would be on you. In this movie, it's very like convenient how sometimes they're there very fast, other times they're not. There's one point where Emmett realizes that there is one on the island with them, and the guy's like pulling water up out of a well, and Emmett starts screaming. He's like, hey, everybody get inside it. He's trying to draw attention to himself, and the monster kills the guy at the well. And it's like, that's not really how this would have happened. It's getting more and more convenient. So I guess that would be my biggest gripe with the monsters, that there seems to be some sort of like plot armor now in place. And I liked it better in the first movie, where it didn't seem like anybody was safe. John died at the end. Everybody was, I don't want to say literally walking on eggshells, but they were, quite literally tiptoeing around, trying not to make any noise no matter where they were, no matter what was going on. And in this movie, it seems like there's more noise, and it always just takes a little bit of time. Perfect example when the girl's on the train. It's unbelievable that this girl can survive in this world. And at first, and I guess I never really thought about it when I watched the first movie, I thought because she's deaf, she's like built for this world. She already knows sign language. She already lives in this world of silence. Everyone else has to adjust, but she lives in this world of silence, so she's more prepared for it than anyone else. That's kind of the way I thought about it in the first movie. But the more I thought about it in the second movie, I was like, no, this is actually horrible, because she doesn't know when she's making noise. Like, she can step lightly and accidentally step on something that didn't feel like it should have made noise, but it makes noise. How many times have you been, like, in your house and something, like, fall off a shelf? I don't know, like anything, just, or like the trash in the trash bag just kind of shifts, or like dishes in the sink just shift. You don't even have to be in a room with something, and sometimes something in the house will just shift and make noise. And like, if something like that were to happen around this girl, she wouldn't even know it. Or if, like, when she's on that train, she props her gun up on the wall of the train. If that thing, while she was turned around, I've had, brooms in the house do this to me while I was sweeping. If that thing were to just kind of be off balance, just a fuzz, and kind of just slide down that wall behind her and hit the ground, she would never know. And at one point, she does make noise. She attracts the attention of one of these alien things, and it's behind her, and it just doesn't attack her. It's very, very slow to attack her. Now, granted, she gets out the earpiece and does her little, amplified attack against the thing, which slows it down. I understand all that, but I just feel like that there was definitely an edge lost in some parts of this movie. We're starting to see some characters develop a little bit of plot armor. I don't care for that a whole lot. I just wish they were a little bit smarter. Maybe take your time writing some of these scenes so that you can be a little bit smarter about how things happen. Everything that happens in this movie could happen. I just wish it was just a little bit smarter on how things happen, how the execution came about. I thought the first movie was a little smarter than this one. But all of those complaints that I have are pretty small. Even the stuff with Marcus. To be honest, it's a great movie, and I loved the first one. I love this one. I had a lot of fun watching this one. The characters are amazing. Every actor and actress in these movies brings it. They do an excellent job. I have nothing but high praise for that. And I love the concept of these movies. I love that part of the writing, the concept behind it, the imagination that goes into it. John Krasinski's directing is really, really good. And so, very few complaints on anything major. Having said all that, I'm giving A Quiet Place 2 a 91 overall. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. By the way, I expect there to be a sequel. A part 3, I think a trilogy rounds it out, and I expect that to be the end of it, and I hope it is. I really like these movies a lot, but what we have is John Krasinski telling a story. It leaves this one open at the end. The family's not back together. I can almost guarantee there's going to be a third one. After that, it needs to be done. It needs to find closure at this third one. You don't want to see this thing become some sort of like Terminator project where it just keeps making sequel after sequel after sequel. At some point, you're going to get diminishing returns, and it's just not going to be as good anymore. We have a good thing here. Let's keep it good. Keep things precious. We don't have to keep churning out. I know they make you money, studios. I get it. But let's just keep this thing precious, lock in a third movie, make it good, make it solid, and then let's walk away from A Quiet Place, you know? Let us hold on to this thing. Let it be good, and let us hold on to it. Don't ruin it, Hollywood. Don't ruin it. All right, thanks for watching. Leave it down in the comments if you had any complaints about the review, whatever it is. Let me know down in the comments. If you did have some complaints for me, don't get mad. Remember that this is just one man's opinion. Thanks.